For these young footballers in Burkina Faso's capital city, Ouagadougou, it's a day they'll remember for the rest of their lives. The day they met a football superstar. But the former Barcelona striker, Hristo Stoitchkov, isn't only here to play. He's here in his capacity as a goodwill ambassador, visiting victims of the 2009 floods that left 150,000 people homeless.
Being here and seeing how 12 months ago that these people had nothing, it was all water. And now, thanks to the help they've received, they have food. For me, it's a huge satisfaction.
Financed with European humanitarian aid and operated by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, urban gardening projects like this one are helping families to rebuild their lives. Maria Bailu lost everything when almost half the average annual rainfall fell in just one night. The family home was simply washed away, her land destroyed.
With the help we've received, things are going much better. Life has changed. I can afford my children's education. Our health is better. I've been able to pay the medical bills for my children. We have food. Nothing's a problem.
The project has financed the construction of wells and the distribution of equipment and seeds. It's one of more than 1,000 EU-funded emergency projects around the world, helping people recovering from natural and man-made disasters. Accompanying Stoitchkov are several other big names from the world of football.
They have a major flood. They then come and rebuild it in a very short time. And here they are growing food for the families and hoping to sell enough food to keep them going. I think us coming lifts the awareness of it, and I hope that it gives other people the incentive to come and do things like we do.
It's really impressive to see how with little resources you can make so much. And you can change people's lives, you can give them hope, you can build them a chance. And that's what people need, basically.
These people have been given that chance, but more than a third of Burkina Faso's population is still malnourished. And globally, close to 1 billion people live in hunger. Celebrities like Stoitchkov hope to raise greater awareness of all those still in need. For Hungry Planet, I'm Charlotte Windle.
This is Cairo. It's much quieter now than it was at the beginning of the year, when hundreds of thousands of frustrated young Egyptians took to the streets. It was a revolution that toppled the government, and now, after the recent referendum, the way is clear for elections later in the year. But Egypt's underlying problems remain. More than half the population is younger than 24. They may be educated, but most young people are unemployed. In fact, 90% of jobless Egyptians are under the age of 30.
Hundreds of thousands are graduating every year from the education system and from vocational schools, and over 700,000 of jobs have to be created every year to meet the intake of these graduates. And it's a tremendous challenge.
And this challenge will only get greater. Throughout the Arab world, it's estimated that 51 million new jobs will need to be created over the next 10 years. 2 decades ago, Egypt was already grappling with this problem, and they decided to embark on a remarkable social experiment. Hassan Abdul Rahman used to be an accountant, but now he's one of 40,000 graduates who, over the last 20 years, have headed to the desert to farm.
A national newspaper announced that the government was trying to solve the unemployment problem for young graduates, and there were several options. One was to buy some cheap farmland that you repaid over 30 years.
Like Hassan, most of the graduates knew nothing about farming. They turned to organizations like the UN's International Fund for Agricultural Development, or IFAD, for training in farming, irrigation, and for links to export markets.
We found graduates were more receptive to new ideas. With some training, we were able to introduce new crop varieties suitable for export. All of these things generated economic growth in desert communities.
4 out of 10 graduates failed, but those that remained have had some financial success. Hassan has sold his mangoes and apricots. Others supply Heinz, one of the world's largest food processors, with tomatoes. Together they have reclaimed more than 1 million acres of land. At a time when food security is a global concern, this experiment has turned desert into productive land. And now there's a whole new economy outside of the bursting cities.
Workers come from across Egypt to work here, so it has opened a great many opportunities. People who didn't have work found a way to farm, and now business is booming.
It's unclear how this experiment will continue under the new leadership. But what is certain is that governments in the region will have to come up with creative solutions to employ their young people in the years to come. For Hungry Planet, this is Joanne Leverton.
With 216 checkpoints in the divided city of Hebron, restricted movement makes even mundane tasks like shopping for food difficult, adding to rising food prices and a 20% unemployment rate. Hunger is a constant concern. Bread is the most important staple here, and bakers are worried.
Recently, the price of wheat has risen sharply. If it continues to rise, I'll have no choice but to increase the price of bread.
The World Food Program has been testing the use of electronic vouchers, or digital food. Here it comes in the form of a blue card called Satin. Bon appetit. Nasreem is unemployed. A widow with 3 preschoolers to feed, she gets a credit for 25 shekels a week loaded onto her card. Today, she buys eggs, lentils, oil, and cheese, paying at the cash register just like anyone else. In places like Hebron, where food is available but may be out of reach, it's a way for WFP to provide a greater variety of foods, hedge against rising food prices, and boost local economies. It's a win-win for everyone.
Thanks to the e-vouchers, business has increased, enabling me to buy a new refrigerator.
Helping local businesses spells success in the classroom, too. Almost half the 100 million people that WFP helps live in the Muslim world. In the West Bank, 75,000 children receive snacks in school, helping them keep focused on learning instead of their empty stomachs.
We are now purchasing local products produced here by the people of Palestine. And so today, for example, this milk is integrated into all our programs. Even our voucher program, it has to purchase products produced locally. This is transforming the way we do business here.
In this rapidly changing region, where frequently more history is produced than can be consumed, The next generation will need to reach their full potential to handle what will be passed on to them. If digital food keeps their stomachs full, then it's a step in the right direction. For Hungry Planet, I'm Jonathan Dumont.